The way you know who handled tragedies like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor only deepened the country's racial divide. But the brilliant new book, Long Time Coming, Reckoning with Race in America, takes an unflinching look at how it was long before he showed up and how to finally get it on the road to redemption. Please welcome one of our favorite people, New York Times bestselling author, professor at Vanderbilt University, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Welcome back. Good to see you, man.
Good to see y'all, too. Man, I feel like it's old home week up in here.
Well, in a way. Because the last time we saw you, was in February in studio. But since then we've had who had a long, many months left on his presidency. There was a global pandemic. Protests for civil rights broke out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were elected. A lot has happened. And having watched all of this, how are you feeling about where we are right now?
Yeah, that's a great way to set it up. Back in the 90s, they started talking about syndemics, a synergy of pandemics. So on the one hand, we had the global virus that has besieged the bodies of people all over the world. The good doctor just told us about the latest protocol and etiquette to try to get us to safety. But we also had the recognition of a racial pandemic. So we had, COVID-19, and then we had COVID-16-19. We've been grappling with this for over...
So we're going to get him back. But it's amazing that it's true. We have been dealing with this idea of race and what to do about it, as he said, since 1619. That is a hell of a run. And I wonder, is there a way to get through this divide? I'll ask you guys as we try to get him back. I mean, is there a way you think to get through this racial divide? I'll start with you, Sonny.
Well, I think Professor Dyson's book is incredible, and it does somewhat give us not only the history, but the blueprint going forward and things that can be done to change. And I think what's very interesting is, you heard Joe Biden during his acceptance speech, he said, he acknowledged the impact Black Americans had, and he said on his election, and he said, "You've always had my back, and I'll have yours." And so I think when you have a president that is saying, "I see you, I recognize your contributions, and I'm going to do whatever I can to have your back," I think that is an incredible start, because we're seeing it from the tippy top of the government. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to bridge the gap, especially when you look at President-elect Biden's Lift Every Voice plan for Black America. And I think it needs to start probably from the top. Well, start there.
Right.
My observation in the world is that every country seems to have its problem of racism. Every country, the other is about the other. And I'm sure the professor will explain this, of course, but that to me is the problem. And when you have somebody like Trump in office who gives airtime and sunlight on racists, they come out of the woodwork.
Right.
That's all I had to say. Let's see what he has to say, of course.
All right. Yeah. Are you back with us?
I'm here.
Lost you for a second.
I'm here.
Was a hiccup?
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
You know who it was. Yeah, we can see you, we can hear you.
All right, very good, very good. You know who was undermining me. You look, stop hating on me, bruh. I got to call you out. This is the pandemic I was talking about, the global pandemic of the virus and the pandemic of racism. And as you all have brilliantly talked about it, we have been grappling with this issue from the beginning of this nation's history. And here we are now. George Floyd opened the minds of many people. But as Ms. Goldberg suggested, absolutely, we know that for the very beginning, people have been not missing the pandemic in slavery, in Jim Crow, in white water fountains and black water fountains and horrible schools that we were relegated to. So we've been building up to this for a while, but maybe because we were all at home. The pandemic had us watching our screens. When George Floyd's death occurred, when the knee of Derek Chauvin was imposed upon the neck of George Floyd, his already mortally bruised column, his neck, he was asphyxiated, and people said, this is enough. Even white brothers and sisters said, we got to hit the streets along with black brothers and sisters and others because this is enough. And the President of the United States of America, with his megalomania, has been a megaphone for the worst instincts in America and for the most vicious denunciation of our humanity. Thank God we have shifted from this president to a new president, President Biden and Vice President Harris, who understand the nature of existence for people of color and for all of us to come together. We got to make it e pluribus unum, out of many one.
Sonny.
And Michael, I was saying that when we lost you, that when you look at President-elect Biden's victory speech, he acknowledged the significant impact Black American voters had on his and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's historic win. He recognized that, and he said, "You've always had my back, and I'll have yours." In your view, how do you think he can best do that? We've heard about his Lift Every Voice plan for Black America, but how does he bridge this divide? How does he make it better for Black Americans?
Yeah, that's a great point. First of all, when have you heard a president say that? What president in American history has explicitly articulated his debt, what he owes to African-American people because he recognizes we had his back, now he has ours? That's beautiful. First of all, not being Donald Trump is a huge start. Number two, to try to forge connections between disparate groups. We know that he has a reputation for reaching across the aisle. That's good. But he's got to reach over, as he has already done, to progressive forces within the Democratic Party. And then also, he's got to talk about what are the issues that particularly plague African-American communities. We know that criminal justice reform is a necessity. We know that dealing with the disproportionate impact of this COVID virus upon Black and brown bodies is serious. We know that educational disparities in this country are huge. And we know the gulf between the have-gots and the have-nots. Home ownership, because the greatest bleed-off of Black wealth ever happened during the housing bubble that burst on Black Americans. So when you address those issues, along with police brutality. We are living in a nation where if you hold your hands up, you get shot. If you put them down, you get shot. If you agree with the police, you get shot. If you don't agree with the police, you get shot. The fact is, it's not what we do, it's who we are that seems to exacerbate tensions between law enforcement and African-American communities, and we have to address that. I know some people have been outraged by the use of abolish the police. Guess what? In the 1850s, many white Americans were against abolishing slavery, so that the very word abolition has caused some people problems. It has been a long-standing tradition in America. But as a leftist myself, as a progressive, I'm not wed to any language. I don't want the commercial. I want the product. Give us the relief of suffering. When somebody calls the authorities for a person who is mentally unstable, don't send the cops with their batons and tasers. Send a productive therapist or somebody who's trained to relieve the hurt and pain that they might experience so that they won't be killed. So defunding the police is another way of saying, let's reassign monies to those elements and those departments in our public safety realm that attend to the hurts and pains of people who are most at risk. And when we do that, then we can respect the fact that we want law and order. We just want, when the cops show up, they don't see us automatically as the criminals and begin to hurt us and harm us in ways that many white brothers and sisters can scarcely imagine.
Okay. Well said, sir. I can just imagine that your classes are riveting over at Vanderbilt. So you've said that before. You've said before that you're not a fan of cancel culture. And you point out in the book that while it may feel satisfying in the moment, it simply offers the quote-unquote illusion of justice. So what's your case for the alternative, sir?
Well, first of all, when you cancel culture, you cancel the person, you don't cancel the system. So you put another person in place. To me, it's better to have forgiveness, understanding, accountability, to hold people to account for the wrongs that they do, but also to have a culture of compassion. I'm an old Baptist preacher for 41 years. I believe in divine justice, but I also believe in human forgiveness. And what we must do is to treat each other as human beings who are respectful of the hurts and pains that we have imposed, but also bring ourselves to recognition that we've got to have redemption through forgiveness. I think that's the best way to go about restorative justice, not retributive justice in America.
Wow, all right. Look, you just have to keep coming back. We want to talk more and more to you. Absolutely. Dr.
I love
Michael
y'all. I
Eric
appreciate you having
Dyson,
me on.
his book, We love it. Long time coming. Reckoning with Race in America is available right now. You can hear the audiobook. You can get it on Amazon or wherever great books are sold.